So, this coming February, I will begin a 4-month sabbatical. My third one since I've served here as your minister. So for those of you who have started attending since my last one back in 2016, please be assured that this congregation knows how to do this, how to keep worship and pastoral care and the other essential ministries of First Parish running smoothly. And I'm going to share a few practical details. We have an amazing sabbatical committee in place, and if you're here, I'm going to ask you just to wave or stand up or something. Gail Barati, Joan Coyne, who's in the balcony, being our chat host today, Cindy Gist, Liz Peterson, Bonnie Rankin, Ruth Whalen, and Dave Caffeine is our standing committee liaison. They are working with me to plan coverage, prepare communications, and support for the congregation in my absence. We're in the midst of filling the Sunday morning worship slots with speakers from within and beyond the congregation. Dolores will take on my responsibilities for day-to-day supervision of the staff and administrative details, while Brian Snow, who's over here, who is a certified chaplain, will supervise the pastoral care and service team and support pastoral care. Sabbatical team and I are also in conversation with Reverend Russ Menck. You may remember him. He served as our intern minister, and I was trying to remember what year. I think it was 2011, long enough that he served 10 years as the minister at the Santa Cruz, California UU congregation, long enough that he retired from that ministry in June, and is looking for something to do. And I think Jackie, his wife, is looking for something for him to do as well. So he is hoping that he can come serve part-time as a sabbatical minister here to support worship and to support the lay leadership. The biggest obstacle at this point is finding a place for Russ, Jackie, their 10-pound dog, and their 20-pound cat to live. We need a place for them to live while they're on the East Coast. So if you have any ideas, please let me know. And if things don't work out with Russ, sabbatical team and I have some other ideas, but we're really, really hoping we can make this happen. I think it would be a lot of fun, if nothing else. As for me, I plan to use the time to do some traveling with my husband, Josh, one of our ushers this morning. He will be on sabbatical from ushering and also from teaching at Fitchburg State University. I hope to spend time working on the writing project I began last year when I participated in the Emerging Spiritual Writers Mentoring Program out of the Collegeville Institute in Minnesota. And my mentor, Michael McGregor, has agreed to continue to work with me if I'm able to put together something coherent enough for him to edit. Most of all, though, I hope to follow Tricia Hersey's charge to intentionally slow down, to listen to and reconnect with my body and my soul, and to reimagine how to live in ways that offer a balm, a source of nourishment and healing and compassion. When COVID first hit, Josh, whose first career included scenario planning for the Joint Chiefs of Staff at the Pentagon, Josh told me that pandemics last 3 to 5 years. So get ready to think in those terms. And as much as I did not want to believe you, at the time, his insights were really helpful in preparing me psychologically to recognize from the beginning that this would be a long, liminal season. We've come a long way since we had to shut down 3.5 years ago. COVID is still a serious concern, but with vaccines and masks, we've learned to live with this new virus among us. That said, I have found each year of the pandemic to be more complicated to navigate than the previous. The first year was hard with everything shut down. I am a parish minister in part because I love being with you. I love being with the people I serve. And although I knew you were there watching from home, preaching to an empty sanctuary was not what I went into ministry for. I am not a performer. But we were all essentially in the same position, confined to our homes. Then, as the virus has ebbed and surged, we've had to deal with the complexities of hybrid congregational life. Technology is a wonderful thing, and it extended our worship and congregational life beyond our walls. And even when the shutdown ended and we could hold worship in the building, in the sanctuary again, we didn't end the live streaming. We committed more deeply to it because we realized we could reach members who could no longer attend in person, even for reasons beyond COVID. And while some people are able to be back in the building, others continue to need to stay safe at home. And others of us found that the new rhythms of life post-COVID have made coming to church regularly a thing of the past, that it was easier to attend from home, if at all. Also during the pandemic, elements of our congregational life, some of the committees, some of the programs, some of the projects disappeared, while new ones have emerged to meet the changing needs. So while we all entered the pandemic time in the same manner, we are all returning at different paces, with different expectations and different needs. We are seeing here what we are seeing in the larger world, that people have less time and less energy to give, and that it is harder to commit to things beyond a year or even a couple of months. We are having to find new ways to do congregational life. And that part of the liminal season of COVID is with us still. And of course, COVID is only one of the ongoing chronic crises that periodically flare up into acute phases. Political divisions and ongoing threats to our democracy, war and violence, the ratcheting up of violence against and criminalization of bodies. Bodies of color, women's bodies, bodies of gay, lesbian, and trans persons, bodies of immigrants and indigenous persons, and the body of the earth itself, the environmental crises, large and small. So what does that have to do with sabbatical, except to say, Ellen, you're leaving us, and you just told us all these problems? Quite a lot, actually. After 3+ years of doing everything I can think of to hold this congregation together and to get us safely through this crisis amidst all the others, I need to take a step back. I'm not burnt out. I'm not at the end of my rope or anything like that, but I don't want to get there. I love being your minister, and I love this congregation deeply. But it has been a very different kind of ministry than I'm used to. One that has required me to react and pivot quickly to a changing landscape that's full of uncertainty and unexpected potholes and unexpected gifts. So I feel that longing in Tricia Hersey's words to intentionally slow down so I can give my body and my soul some time to just catch up, to just breathe, to make room for grief, for the people that we've lost, for the way of life, too, that we have lost. And also to make room for gratitude for all of you who have been so amazing through this hard time. I need to discern what season of ministry I am now in, and what season of ministry we are in together after 21 years. Because sabbatical is not just for me, it serves you. I am not usually a great fan of the book of Leviticus. I can sum it up in 2 sentences. If you want to do it, you can't. And if you don't want to do it, you have to. Am I right? But occasionally, there's ancient wisdom in there. 6 years you shall sow your field, and 6 years you shall prune your vineyard and gather in their yield. But in the 7th year there shall be a Sabbath of complete rest for the land. First Parish is our field, our vineyard, where we have been given stewardship. Stewardship to sow the seeds of hope and peace we wish for future generations. Stewardship to tend the trees planted by the generations previous to us, rooted in the values of our faith, freedom, love, and trust that this world and this life are worthy of our deepest commitments. Sabbatical reminds all of us that it is important to pause, to step back from time to time to survey the whole, to rest and be nourished in the work we have already done. It reminds us also to whom and what this congregation belongs. You are not my congregation. I am your minister, and you called me to serve here, in these fields, at this time, for these times. But I recognize that I am only one in a long line. And if I serve well, I will not be the last minister of this congregation. Sabbatical reminds you and me of this truth, that the ministry of this congregation continues whether I am here or not, whether we are here or not. Sabbatical provides a time for you to hear other voices than mine, to engage more intentionally with the mission and covenant of this congregation for the times we are in, to discern your strengths and your growing edges, to what you want to grow and tend. It is time for you as a congregation to experience together the lay of the land. A couple of Sundays ago, I shared about a workshop that I attended with the Standing Committee, our governing board, for UU church boards from around New England. The focus was on the impact of congregational life as well as society in general, the weakening of the ties that connect people, not only within congregations but beyond, the uses and limits of technology, the differences in expectations of the generations. The overriding message seemed to be that things are not going to go back to the way they were, and it's time for us to discern how we do congregational life differently, to reimagine, to try new things, to be willing to have them not work, and to pause long enough so that we can practice responding rather than just reacting to everything happening around us. With so much going on, with one crisis following another, it's easy for me to feel like I have to fix things right now, or get that next new shiny thing in place to keep us up to date with the latest trends. But ultimately, that mode of doing is exhausting and unproductive. The New England UUA staff lifted up the practice of discernment, which they defined as the wisdom that is greater than us that we can find among us by grounding ourselves in our land, or our core values and faith as they are articulated in our First Parish covenant and our UUA covenant. Discernment is really what sabbatical is supposed to call forth, listening to and trusting in what the land brings forth on its own, without us working it too hard, to discern what is emerging and growing, what needs our care and attention that we might not recognize in the day-to-day. Each summer, Dolores and I discuss themes for the coming church year. And this year, she offered nourishment as what people seem to be looking for that we could offer. A place to gather, to reconnect with each other, with community, and with our own souls. To provide opportunities that did not require a lot of work or planning, but where we can show up together for a meal, for worship, conversation around things that matter spiritually and ethically to us, or maybe just to have fun. And I realized that is also what sabbatical time is. So I invite us to already be in it, to take a deep breath, to rest in our bodies and our spirits, to rest in the field of our beloved community, the vineyard of our faith, and see what emerges.